Hello everyone, Zazubaar here, and I'm here to do not really a review because what I'm going to be talking about today is kind of a weird thing to review, but I just wanted to do a video discussing and, giving my thoughts on a particular TV show I've been watching a lot of recently now that I have Netflix instant streaming. I'm going to be talking about Destination Truth. Yeah, what's the best way to describe it? It's one of those cryptozoological shows, like Finding Bigfoot, Monster Quest, Is It Real? Those sorts of shows. I don't think I need to describe it that much. Basically, the premise is you've got a team of explorers, scientists, video documentarians. They go off to remote places and they look for cryptids, which are, undiscovered animals like Sasquatch, Loch Ness Monster, all these different creatures. Or the paranormal, ghosts and such, and, paranormal entities. I'm a big fan of those sorts of shows. I watch a lot of them. Again, me and Adam used to do a show called Afterthoughts of Finding Bigfoot, where we analyzed the evidence presented in each episode of the current show, Finding Bigfoot, which is on Animal Planet. Now, just for those of you who are fans of that show, who are wondering why there's no season 2 of that show, why we're not analyzing season 3, Adam and I's schedules just can't. We can't sit down once a week and record videos on each episode, but we are going to do a full review of the 3rd season in full once it's done. We do have plans for that, and we're going to do that as soon as season 3 is over. It should be wrapping up in, I guess, a month. Not much. It doesn't have much longer to go, and this season has not had a lot happening in it, so it would be nearly entirely superfluous to review each individual episode because so little happens in them now, so it would be pointless. Anyway, so off of Finding Bigfoot. So now we're going to discuss Destination Truth. So Destination Truth, I wouldn't say it's one of the first, but it is one of the most well-known, and I think probably the best of all of these exploratory, cryptozoological, and paranormal shows. Paranormal investigation, supernatural investigation, however you want to describe it. It's the best of those shows. Now, I think there's a couple of really big reasons for why it is the best, or at least the most entertaining. One, the host. Josh Gates is awesome. He's just overall a great host for this kind of show. He is extremely knowledgeable about the areas he visits. He has a great sense of humor. He knows how to run a TV show. He knows how to, and he's not an actor by any means. He's just, I'm not sure of his background personally. I probably should have looked it up before I sat down to do this video, but whatever. Just he comes off as the perfect host for this kind of show. He clearly loves exploring, traveling to these remote places. He loves to challenge himself and his teams, and what they can do with technology and what they can discover. And he's great for that. He's very funny, great sense of humor. Just overall, really smart guy. He's the perfect guy to host and run this sort of show because excuse me for my weird lisp. I don't have a speech impediment, but I don't know. Today it's acting up a little bit. I apologize for that. In case this is like the first video you've ever seen of me, but Anyway, that was kind of awkward, sorry. So anyway, back to Destination Truth. Yeah, Josh Gates is just the perfect person to run this sort of show and host it. He's just perfect. Very entertaining to watch, very compelling to watch. Just overall perfect host for this sort of show. And I think he's probably the biggest draw to why it is such a popular supernatural investigation kind of show, because he's great sense of humor, really compelling, and clearly he comes off as a legit sort of modern explorer, which some of the people who run these shows don't. They come off as scientists, or not necessarily actors, but people who don't do this on a regular basis. People who just kind of go off and explore just for the sake of this TV show. Not in Josh Gates' case. He comes off as an extremely seasoned traveler and explorer. Again, perfect for this kind of show. So I think he is probably the biggest draw of the show, and the thing that separates it from other shows in its league. Is It Real? Finding Bigfoot, Monster Quest, all these sorts of shows. Otherwise, though, I think the other big thing, and why it's probably the best, just objectively, minus the humor and the compelling aspects of Josh Gates as a host, I think it's also just objectively the best at doing what it sets out to do, because the show, they very rarely make broad generalizations and jump right to overwhelming conclusions, like Finding Bigfoot does constantly. I apologize I'm comparing this show so much to Finding Bigfoot, but just because that's what I've been watching a lot of recently, as well as Destination Truth, I think they're very comparable and they have similar formats. One big problem I have with Finding Bigfoot, and again, Adam and I have talked about this on Afterthoughts of Finding Bigfoot, is that they jump to conclusions constantly. Whether it's a Sasquatch or it's not. Always that's the case. Josh Gates and his team are probably the best at doing what they do because, and I'm not saying that the only reason I'm knocking hard on Finding Bigfoot is because they always jump to the conclusion of it's this cryptozoological creature hasn't been proven to be existing yet. That's not the reason. The reason why is because what Josh Gates and his team does, they rationalize things. They take things to experts. They look over things more than once. They don't just, they take what they, okay, here's what they do, and I love this format, I think this is perfect. They do what legit scientists and experiments do. They go off into the field, so to speak, you know, they travel off to these locations with all this great tech, and they investigate. They walk around, they talk to witnesses, they do night investigations where they actually try to see if they can see these things, to find physical evidence. They don't always, but very often they do. And they don't jump to conclusions right there on the spot. They will try to rationalize out what it's not or what it could be, but they don't just say this is what it is and this is what it's not. If they do, they're very often joking. It keeps the show light, it keeps it compelling. So I really like the show for that reason, because and then what they do, they take all the stuff they found in the field, they take it back to their home base and objectively, out of the element, out of the excitement, look back on all of their footage, all of their physical evidence, and then they look at it. Then they comment on it. Then they make their conclusions, like real scientists. So I love the show for that reason. It makes it more compelling. It makes it more realistic. It makes it more convincing even, because, you know, the point of a scientific experiment is to prove certain things. So, and test certain ideas out. In this case, you're testing out the idea of the existence of something like Sasquatch, something like the, you know, all the creatures they look for, all the, you know, the paranormal investigations they do. It's extremely professionally done, and that's why that's another reason why I really like the show and really respect it. So yeah, I think that's probably objectively the thing that makes it the best of all these kinds of shows, because a lot of them will just jump right to conclusions, and I don't like that. And a lot of times they'll just, it's not necessarily the, in the case of Finding Bigfoot, I don't know if it's always the fact that, you know, Matt Moneymaker and his team are being, ignorant is not the right word, are being impulsive, I guess, is the right word, I suppose. It's that you're running, the thing is, at the end of the day, it's a TV show and it has to be somewhat entertaining, and that has been my biggest problem with Finding Bigfoot this season. It has not been entertaining. Now, obviously, I don't want them to go out and start faking things just to make the show more entertaining. That's not the point. The point is that it's not compelling every time they look at a witness and go, yeah, they saw a Sasquatch, or they didn't see a Sasquatch, and then they go to a night investigation and nothing comes up, and they still at the end of the day say, there's probably Sasquatches here. Drives me crazy. And the reason why they do that is because it's more entertaining. They do that for the sake of the show. I feel like that's it. Again, I don't want to make broad generalizations about things I don't know, but just oftentimes it feels like these shows are edited for the sake of the show. And it doesn't feel very natural, and it doesn't feel very convincing, like a scientific experiment should. Destination Truth does that. Nearly always. I'm not going to say I've seen every episode, but I have seen the majority of them of each season. At the end of each and every segment of what they're looking for, I'm usually behind Josh Gates and his team's conclusions, because what they concluded makes sense given their evidence. They never go in with any bias. They never go in with any preconceived notions. They go in, they take what they can get, and then they analyze it, and then they come up with a rational conclusion based on what they've analyzed. It works. It's perfect. I love it. It makes the show more compelling and more convincing. So, you know, I think that that's the best format for these shows. The thing I really like about Destination Truth as opposed to some of these other shows, again, I'm sorry I'm knocking Finding Bigfoot, but I've been watching that a lot recently. That show doesn't always feel naturally done. Sometimes it feels very forced in its format and what their conclusions are. Sometimes it just feels like they're substituting formula for actual investigation and conclusions. Destination Truth is edited a very certain way. The show has a particular format. But the way it's edited, the way it's put together, the evidence that's presented, it always feels natural. Never have I seen an episode of Destination Truth and gone, wow, that felt forced. You know, the formula they used to go out and do this investigation didn't feel like it was naturally done. It feels like, it feels like the way the TV show works came before the actual, the way the actual TV show works comes before the actual investigation. Destination Truth never feels like that. All these other shows feel like that constantly. So that is why, objectively, I think Destination Truth is the best of all these shows. And again, I think that just overall, entertainment-wise, since again, it's a TV show, it's got to be entertaining. Otherwise, people wouldn't watch it. I think Josh Gates, as a host, makes it that way. I think that he makes it appealing just because of his sense of humor and because of his personality. So, I think those are the two big reasons why Destination Truth is the best of its breed. You've got the, you know, the natural format and lack of jumping to conclusions. You know, it feels rational, like a real scientific experiment. And then you've got Josh Gates. So I think that those are the two main reasons. Now I'm going to start to get into some minor problems I have with the show, since I do have my annoyances with the show. I do think it's the best of its breed, but I still have my problems with it. So I'm going to get into those now. My first big one is sticking because the way the show works is, more often than not, sometimes they change this up, but usually what they do is they do 2 investigations in one hour episode, or in the case of subtracting commercial breaks, around 45 minutes. So, you know, you divide 45 by 2, you've roughly got 25 minutes, roughly, per investigation. They'll do two investigations per episode, where one they'll look at one creature, one cryptid, or one ghost, and then they'll do another. One thing and that's fine. Again, it always feels natural when they transition. The ending always feels natural. My problem with the show is, and this is not really the show's like the producer's fault, Josh Gates' fault, his team's fault. Not really their fault. It's production order and the way they're edited. So it's more of like the producers and the editor's fault and the TV executive's fault that this is the case. I don't like that generally always they stick a ghost at the first investigation and then a sea creature as the second investigation. Their scope at points feels extremely limited. And I know that sounds weird, since they're not just a monster show, which is how they came off at first, which that always kind of bugged me about the show, is that ghosts seem to take over the show. Since, you know, sci-fi has ghost hunters. That's their, you know, that's their other big thing aside from Destination Truth. Destination Truth was about the monsters. Now, they bring this up in the show constantly, so you know, it's not as big of a problem as I think I'm making it out to be, but like, you know, sci-fi has Ghost Hunters and Ghost Hunters International to go off and look at these paranormal, you know, spiritual things. And Destination Truth is for the cryptids and these remote jungle locations. You know, just to sum it up like this, I think Ghost Hunters is about going in a mansion for a night. Destination Truth is about going in a forest for a night, if that makes any sense. So I get that they would want to do ghost episodes that fit that particular idea. You know, again, Ghost Hunters can do the mansions, Destination Truth does the jungles. So, you know, you look at you look at, like, say, the Ghosts of Petra, which is one episode. You know, that's not really a Ghost Hunters kind of thing. That's more of a Destination Truth thing. If there was a cryptid there, I would say send, you know, Team Truth there, you know. But in the case of it being ghosts, it doesn't really bother me because it makes sense that they would be the ones to go look at that. My only problem is that it was still, even early on, like first 2 seasons, they still pushed the monsters. The monsters were always the crucial thing. It was always about looking for these creatures, not about the supernatural ghosts did not overtake the show. Until late season 2 and then seasons 3 and 4. Every single episode, with like 2 or 3 exceptions, has ghosts in it as the first investigation. Some of them are all ghosts. I don't like that, because again, even when they did ghosts, they stressed that it was all about the monsters. So when they do ghosts, and they do them like 2 per episode at points, it feels like it's getting away from its roots. Now, the show is still entertaining when they go look for ghosts, but it's not what I came here to see. That, and also I think that it limits their scope, as I said before. Now, limiting their scope may sound weird since I'm saying that, oh, they're looking for more than what their premise says they should look for, is limiting their scope somehow. I know that sounds weird, but it does. Like, you would think, oh, you know, they're going beyond their premise, they're widening their scope. Yeah, kind of, premise-wise. Execution-wise, they're limiting their scope, and here's what I mean by that. How to put this? They seem to go after ghosts more now than they do creatures. And I think that this all comes down to maybe ease of investigation. I don't know what the reason is, but it almost seems like they go after ghosts and they go after sea creatures. That's what they do. Now, there are a plethora of legends that don't have to do with ghosts and sea creatures that this team should be looking for. You know, that this fits their bill. This would make a great episode. They usually do, you know, they've done a great deal of the Bigfoot legends. They've done the Malaysian Bigfoot, they've done the Yowie, they've done the Yeren, they've done 2 Yeti episodes, they did the Siberian Snowman or the Almasti. They've done the big ones. They have not stayed in America and looked for the North American Sasquatch, the popular conception of Bigfoot. Now I know what you're thinking. This show is very much so about traveling to other countries, foreign places. I get that, I agree, but you're not going to see ghost hunters going into the woods looking for Bigfoot. That just doesn't make any sense. I think that this team would be very, very apt and well committed to looking for Sasquatch on American soil. So, I think that they're missing out in cases like that. Because they did every other iteration of Sasquatch, they just didn't do the American one, which I find weird. I hope that they do it in the future. Maybe they're saving it. Which, you know, at that point that might make this video irrelevant, or this complaint irrelevant at least. But they haven't done it yet, and at this point I'm kind of like, do it, you know, get it out of the way, it'll be fun, you know, you guys would be so perfect for that. But maybe they're saving it, so I don't know. What else to talk about? Again, that's really my biggest problem with the show, is that ghosts kind of overtook the whole show when I was watching it for the creatures. I think their best episodes almost always are about the monsters. Siberian Snowman, Yeti, Bhutan Yeti, best episodes of the show. There are great ghost episodes too, like I think, what was it? The one where they did the live Destination Truth episode from Ireland, The Search for the Banshee, I think it was called. That was great too. Antarctic Spirits was great. I think it was actually called Ghosts of Antarctica. You know, I'm not saying that just the fact that they're ghosts makes them boring or uninteresting. No, not at all. The show is always compelling, even when they do ghosts. For most of the time. I'm just saying that I watch it for the creatures, and I feel like ghosts kind of overtook the whole thing. Now, that I can't make as big of a complaint out of that as I'd like to, because monsters are not in the show's title, and that's not their... At no point did they actually pin that down as their sole focus. So, broadening their horizons to ghosts, I find fine. I just still think that at the core of their show, the monsters, the monsters are their main thing. And I would like them to kind of get back on top, so to speak. Because I think ghosts have kind of overtaken the show. Now, I understand if, people might complain with this review. Ghosts are either more logical in terms of looking for them or finding evidence of them, or there's more haunted mansions than there are Bigfoot-infested jungles, so to speak. That's fine. I think that there's credence to that, but still, this show is about the monsters. So or at least it was at first. And they can still do ghosts every episode if you want, but I think the monsters should take precedence over the ghosts. So just saying, I'm sorry to reinforce that point so heavily. Anything else I want to touch on? There's really no other problem I have with the show. It's such an entertaining, great, well-done show. Just watch it. It's easily the best of its breed. It's extremely compelling. It's always exciting. Even if they think it's always exciting, always compelling, rich with atmosphere. Just a great show. I think Destination Truth is the best supernatural, paranormal, cryptozoological search shows, so to speak, out there. If you have Netflix, give it a watch. If you watch, current TV, which I don't really anymore. Mind you this, not all of Destination Truth is on Netflix, because the show is still coming out. So, if you want to watch anything beyond season 4, you have to either go on Sci-Fi's website and watch the little selection they have of season 5 Destination Truth episodes, or you're just going to have to watch it as it comes out and wait for the whole season to be finished, and then they'll put it on DVD and then on Netflix. So, if you're watching on Netflix, you have 1 to 4, which that's a lot of episodes, so, still. But if you want to watch current, then you're going to have to obviously watch TV. Watch actual on Sci-Fi every Wednesday, or you're going to have to wait until it comes out on DVD. So I think that'll about do it for this Destination Truth video. I'm not sure what I'm going to call this video. I don't want to call it a review because it's not. So, I don't know, just Destination Truth thoughts, maybe. So I think that's going to about do it for this video. So thank you very much for watching, or listening in this case. Just for some videos I'm going to be posting very soon in the future. We're going to be, of course, some big Godzilla Gang stuff coming up soon. We're starting a whole new story arc involving King Ghidorah. Big stuff with the Villain Gang is getting their own season, their own spin-off show from the Godzilla Gang, so be sure to look out for that. It's written by Super DM64. He's done some amazing work, so be sure to check all that out. Just more reviews and chats and such coming soon in the future. Just for those of you who watch ZGC monthly reviews when I used to post on a regular basis, I'm not sure when that's coming back. Right now, it's just not going to happen, just because of schedules. I cannot get myself, Gorzard, and Adam to sit down at one particular time to record a video. It's just not realistic right now. So I do want to get the show back in action. I'm just not sure when. We will be reviewing, again, we'll be reviewing the Green Slime. It's just I don't know who's going to be in it, or, the show is up in the air right now. So, just keep watching the skies for updates on ZGC. So, again, thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for subscribing, and I'll see you all soon.